Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the morning talk show. Start your day with Miss Ileane. Grab yourself a cup of Java. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the stream. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Ileane Smith, and I'm your digital media tour guide. And today I want to tour you through the latest digital media news and happenings for August 2018. So thank you so much for joining me, and let's start diving into the news. If you're following me on Facebook or on Instagram or even Twitter, you'll know that I attended the largest event for podcasters, podcast movement. First, let me give a shout out to Jared Easley, Gary Leland, and Dan Franks for putting on such a fantastic event and for bringing it to my very own hometown, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love and sisterly effectiveness. And shout out to Blondell Reynolds Brown, the councilwoman, for that little tagline. So let's get into some of the news that came out during podcast movement. So the first thing I want to talk about is, because I know you guys are getting a lot of the breakdowns and the news on what happened during podcast movement. So my take is going to be a little different because, we all have our own perspectives on this. So for me, I was very keen to find out what was going to be said at the Anchor, because Anchor did a presentation. Mike McNano from Anchor did a presentation, and some people thought that it was not that great. But for me, it was totally awesome because I really wanted to know about the mindset behind Anchor, and I wanted to hear it from the founder and my friend Ann Capone. Speaking of Anchor, Ann Capone is in the house, one of the most prolific podcasters on Anchor. And so I'm so glad that I was able to meet him there and that he's able to join on the stream because the Anchor news is coming up first. Well, one of the things that happened was Anchor announced that they are having what they're calling the Anchor Podcast Lab. And let's see if we can bring that up really quickly. Let's see. I'm just bringing it up on my phone. This is a physical location in New York City at the Anchor headquarters where you can go and record your podcast. It's, 100% free. Now, for all those other podcast hosts or people that have been around in the podcasting space for a very long time, this is my first time seeing a studio being offered for free. And as you know, Anchor is a free podcast host. And some may worry or concern about that, but I say get in there, especially if you're in the New York City area, get in there and get your podcast recorded and get started. You can always expand your reach and expand your podcasting savvy later on, because Anchor is really for the everyday podcaster. It's maybe for someone who's just at the entry level. And I love how Michael was so inspirational, and he was not talking about what all the other people are talking about, how to grow your show, how to promote your show, how to make your show big. Sometimes you just want to have a show that's for a specific group. And like, for example, with myself, I like to have a podcast for my patrons on Patreon. Now, Patreon gives me the facility to do that in terms of uploading, but I could use the app on Anchor to record that show. So it's not always about building a show, and goodness knows I've been in the podcasting space since 2009. I think I've heard every tip and trick in the book when it comes to growing your show. And if you're still interested in that, just check out some of my past videos. So it was a refreshing breath of fresh air for me to hear from Mike about how it doesn't have to be always a big show. It could be a small show. It could be just for your friends, your family, or just, it could be a big show as well, because Anchor distributes your podcast on multiple platforms without you needing to worry about logging into this one and logging into that one and setting up an account. I'm already on several platforms, including Spotify and Google Podcasts. And so we got more news about Google Podcasts coming in 1 minute, because I want to tell you one more thing about Anchor before we move on to the next topic. The other thing that I was so glad that I was in the room when Michael announced, actually it came in during the Q&A. Someone asked, my friend Karen asked a question, Karen Keogh, and I'll try to get her podcast link and put that in the description here for this video. And she asked, was Anchor planning on having their own podcast so that they could communicate to users and anybody else who's concerned about using the platform? And Mike said, yes, they will be documenting their journey. He and his co-founder, Neer, have already recorded a few episodes of a soon-to-be-released podcast where they're going to be talking about being co-founders of a startup and all of the ups and downs that come along with that. And I think it's okay for me to say it's going to be called Co-Founders. Now, I don't know if he's got to change that name or not, because I don't know if somebody else has already taken that. We shall see. So, Nithya, so good to have you here, my dear. Thank you so much. What a lovely young lady you are. And let's move on to the next topic. Oh, before we do that, I must admit that I did take the stage at Podcast Movement. And I know a lot of people didn't realize that I had taken the stage there. And let me just share that with you really quickly, if I can get that going here. I think I have to do it this way. Yes, so you can see me here on the stage. And I just loved that stage that they had set up. And I mean, this little fisk around the microphone, it really popped out. I mean, it was three-dimensional, you can tell there. And just in case you were wondering, no, I did not speak at the event. I just took the stage. As a matter of fact, they threw me out the room. They were like, it's too early for you to be in here. I was like, oh, just taking some selfies. So I had a lot of fun with that. And I didn't even submit a presentation. And I knew that I really wanted to just be able to relax and just do it, pop in and out and do whatever I wanted to do during this conference. And so I have recapped the conference. As I said, I recapped the conference on my Facebook page. I did a 10-day countdown to Podcast Movement over on Facebook, and I went live every morning of the conference, and also over on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, what's wrong with you? Because I just have fun on my Instagram account. I'm not pushing anything. I just want to talk to you guys, have fun with you, and tell you what I'm up to. It's not always as interesting as it was last week, but I try to make it fun, even if it's not all that exciting. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing that happened here. All right. Okay, I'm going to move around a little bit. I started talking about Google Podcasts, so let's go into that. So Google Podcasts gave us what's called a toolkit. And it's really just basically a fact sheet about Google Podcasts. Now, if you guys don't know about Google Podcasts, sorry, mine's got a little beat up from, being in my bag during the conference. And this was one of the things they stuck in all of our bags. And I'm also going to share with you in a minute a link where you can go and find out all this information. And Google Podcasts, why is this so important? If you're a podcaster, you may notice that a lot of times things related to podcasting are very Apple Podcast centric. They're centered around iPhone users and so forth. And there's not really a dedicated app on your Android phone for podcasts. Well, now there is. It's Google Podcasts. It doesn't come pre-installed with your Android phone yet, but what they did was they have this goal to double podcast consumption. Okay? Now, let's just clarify something really quickly. The beauty of Anchor is that you can create your podcast there, all right? They give you recording tools. This Google Podcast is a way for people to find your podcast in Google search, okay? So that's really important that they find it in Google search because, as we know, Google is the number one search engine. Let's face it. I mean, there's other search engines out there, but you really want your show to be found on Google, right? So once people find your show, as long as you have the valid RSS feed, they can play it right there in the search results, and they can subscribe to it right there in the search results. And Zach, who is the head of Google Podcasts, he has put together this cheat sheet, and I just held it up, but I'm also going to share the link with you. And he actually tweeted this out, so I will show this right now, and let you know what his Twitter handle is. That's probably the quickest way to get to it. Okay, and it's Zach Renaud Widine, which is why you don't hear me say his name too often, because I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. But if you go to @ZachRW on Twitter, scroll down just a bit, and you'll see this document here that tells you how to generate a Google Podcast link for your feed, link users to your website. And my friend Gord has just come in and said, hi, hey, Gord, how are you? Thank you for joining. Okay, so you also can, if you have feedback about Google Podcasts, you can also tweet Zach, because Zach is very keen to get our feedback on the Google Podcast app. So, yay for podcasters. It is so amazing how podcasting has really gone into the mainstream, and it's just incredible. And I'm just so glad that I've been podcasting for so long that I know a lot of these folks. My friend Dave Jackson was inducted into the Podcasting Hall of Fame. That's Dave Jackson from the School of Podcasting.com. And I highly recommend that for anyone who wants to, you've had a taste of podcasting, or if you want to really be super professional with your show, then you want to get in touch with Dave Jackson. But no pressure. It's okay to be casual with your show. Your show can still blow up, explode, and reach the audience that you want it to reach. It does not have to be award-winning like Dave Jackson. Okay? I just look at myself. Like I said, I've been podcasting for a very long time, but I've always had a very niche audience. And when I started on Anchor, I found a whole nother group of people that were interested in my content. And I always say I'm a digital media tour guide, right? So I'm not just talking about marketing It's just the use of digital media and how powerful it could be for you to spread your message, for you to make an impact on others, and also to improve your life, your self personal development. Okay? I can't see that doc on Zach's Twitter. Can you share a link, please? All right, I sure will. Okay. Thanks for letting me know that. All right. Hopefully that link will come through fine because I just entered it in Ecamm. All right. So let's see if we get the date of it. If you go back to July the 23rd, you can find it that way as well if anybody else is looking for it. Okay. All right. So now let's move on to the next topic here we're going to cover. And thanks again, Gord. Appreciate you so much for letting me know that. More about Google Podcasts before I go. I talked about the toolkit. They also have given us a way to download the app, but of course, only if you're on Android. So let me just show that. There's the Google Podcast app. I'll have links for all this in the description after the video because if you're not on Android, that's not going to do you any good right now. Okay, so, but I predict that it won't be long, maybe even toward the end of the year, that Google Podcast app is going to be available inside of iOS. That's just my prediction. Nobody said that at Podcast Movement, not that I know of anyway. All right, next from Google Podcast News is the tool to generate your link. Now, this is important. If you're not on Anchor, you may not know if your podcast is in Google Podcasts or if you have the relevant code in search results. So here is what this will look like. It's just a boring, bland looking page. But what you need to do is enter your podcast RSS feed. Now, remember, if you're on Anchor, you don't have to worry. It's all done for you. And also here is to search to see what your show will look like. And I had the opportunity to, because I was meeting so many people, right? I wasn't just connecting with all my old podcasting pals. I met a bunch of folks. In fact, shout out to the young lady that I met the very first day. Her name is Melanie, and she is her podcast didn't launch yet, but she's the math preacher. So she teaches math. She's a STEM teacher in our high schools here in Philadelphia, and she's also a preacher. So it was a delight to meet her, and she actually rescued me one day because the very first day of Podcast Movement, my car got stuck in a little bit of a barricade because we had a visit from one of our high-ranking officials. I'm not even going to say their name, but they blocked off the streets because of security, and that was where my car was parked. And luckily, I just so happened to have been palling around with Melanie all day. So big shout out to Melanie because she actually gave me a lift home. So, woohoo! That was good. The city of brotherly love and sisterly effectiveness. I told y'all that already, didn't I? All right, so now let's move away from the podcasting news because I want to move into this one is going to be really quick. I just want to talk about Facebook. Just real quick, don't turn off, don't go away. Facebook has launched Watch Party. And I don't even really have a link for this. But and actually YouTube launched something similar. And I don't know that it's making that many waves. We used to use a site called Rabbit for that. And it's kind of like you tell all of your followers, hey, at 6 o'clock, I'm just picking a random time, right? I'm going to be not live, but I have this special video, and I want us all to watch together. I'm going to be in the chat. Okay, my video's not going to be live. It's a pre-recorded video. I kind of see this working more for big brands than I do for creators like you and I. But I would love to be proved wrong. We shall see. A lot of other platforms have this feature, and in fact, we're going to segue into our next piece, which is Twitch. Twitch has already had this premieres. They call it Twitch, but it's the same as Watch Party. I don't personally see that much buzz about it over on Twitch. I don't mean just for my channel. I mean for all the Twitchers that I'm following, even some of the ones that are, very well known over there on Twitch. I don't see them using that feature that much, or maybe I'm just hanging out in the wrong communities over there. But I would love to know. As a matter of fact, I'll do a little poll here on YouTube. Tell me if you think that you will be hosting a watch party, because I know most of you are content creators. Will you be hosting a watch party on Facebook? A Facebook watch party? Yes or no? And I'll have the link to that poll right over here somewhere. Okay, I'd love to hear what you think about it. And, you can also leave a comment on this video to let me know if you think it's a good idea or not. So let's segue over into Twitch. And what Twitch is doing, I think, is absolutely fantastic. Even though I am someone who loves to do tutorials and teach people how to use these platforms, I also love it when these platforms step up to the plate themselves. And Twitch has done this and created a creator camp. Twitch creator camp. Do what you do best, even better. And here was the announcement over on Twitch. And in fact, what's probably more impactful is for me to link over here to the creator camp, and it takes you through learning the basics. And let me just make this window a little wider so you can see a little bit more of it. Okay. Your personal branding, it's Twitch 101. All these different tutorials here on your path to partnership. So now let me take it a step back for a second. For those of you who don't know, on Twitch, you have different levels of achievement, okay? When you first start off on Twitch, you would just be a streamer, all right? Because Twitch is primarily live streaming. You can, as I said earlier, upload a pre-recorded video, but you're not going to get much traction, especially when you're first starting off. You want to go live. The more you go live, the more traction you're going to get. And that's how you make achievements on Twitch, because once you've streamed for a certain amount of hours and a certain amount of days, and you get a certain amount of folks following you, then you can become an affiliate. Now, this is how Twitch is different than YouTube. This is when you can monetize. You can monetize, and the barrier to entry is low compared to YouTube. Because on YouTube, you have to have 1,000 subscribers, but on Twitch, you only need 50 followers. But like I said, you have to have so many hours of streaming, and you have to have continuous, at least 3 people watching your streams. So it's a totally different set of guidelines and requirements to get into the affiliate program. And the affiliate will let you get bits. People can subscribe to your channel, and subscriptions cost $5 a month. Or there's other tiers as well. But just really quickly, the next level that's more like the YouTube Partner Program is called a Twitch Partner. All of those details, rather than me going into them all, you can learn now on the Twitch Creator Camp. And I'm so glad they put that together. I learned all this stuff the hard way, but even I'm sure there's a ton more stuff that I need to learn in this creator camp. And you guys let me know if you have any questions about the Twitch creator camp, because I will definitely try my best to follow along with the camp and keep you guys up to date when I'm sure they're going to be making updates to the platform, because one of the things, that all of these networks are clamoring for our content, guys. Yeah, believe it or not, we are a hot commodity. Hey, Patricia A. Murray is in the house, okay? So we as content creators are a hot commodity, and all of these platforms are clamoring for our attention. So they want to do things to make creators happy because we're the ones who bring in the traffic to their platforms. So remember that. Don't ever forget your value. Always know that the creators want you. So since Patricia A. Murray is here and Beauty Bubble is here, hey there, Patricia from Durham Skywriter and the Beauty Bubble. And here on YouTube, she is Beauty Bubble. Hey, hey, hey. And just to do a quick recap, I'll just tell you guys what I've already talked about. I already talked about Anchor and Anchor's Creator Lab, where you can go in and record your podcast in a professional studio on professional equipment for free if you're in the New York City area. And then I also talked about Anchor launching their own podcast, the two co-founders of Anchor, Nir and Michael. I talked about Google Podcasts, and I talked about Twitch Creator Camp. I also briefly touched on Facebook Watch and how I don't have much promise. I don't see much promise in it, but there is a poll that I will leave in the YouTube card for you to tell me if you're using the Facebook Watch and what you think about it. Okay, we're almost at the end here. And so now's the time for us to talk about YouTube. Oh my gosh. Oh, Yankees is here. Long time no see, my friend. How are you? Thank you so much for joining, Yankees. Yankees Outdoor Adventures. Hello. So, here's the scoop. With the YouTube hashtags, oh, I think Watch Party has huge potential. Good. Okay, great. I'm comparing what's going on with Twitch premieres, and I don't see it taking off as much as I suspect that Twitch wanted it to. So personally, I'm not watching a watch party on Facebook because I kind of like watching my pre-recorded videos on YouTube. Now, YouTube has also introduced premieres, so let's segue over into YouTube. YouTube has also introduced premieres, but as YouTube has been known to do of late, they are only releasing some of these huge features to people with bigger channels. And the web and XS Web Radio. Hey, Miss Ileane, I just jumped in. Your thoughts on upcoming Anchor monetization fee? I hear that from Dr. Dan. Good question. So I'm going to stop, even though I was going to go into YouTube. I think this is important because I did mention Anchor at the top of the show. Anchor has said that their monetization is going to be something that has never been seen before in podcasts. So if I were that creative that I could figure out what it is, then I probably would have launched Anchor myself. I'm not that creative. I am depending on Anchor to come through on their promise that it's not going to be just advertising like we hear or we're interrupted on our TVs and on the web and, commercials. From the way I understand it, it's a completely different monetization, but Michael was not ready to announce what that monetization is. So I can't give you any kind of feedback about what I think about it because it didn't happen yet. All I know is it's coming. He didn't say when it's coming. I think he may have said soon or shortly, but that's all relative. My soon would be Monday, tomorrow, but his soon might be before the end of the year. I don't know. So I just know that I want Anchor to win. And I didn't say this earlier, but this reminds me of the feeling that I had that, when you have someone who comes into the space and tries to be innovative, and then all of the other folks that are already in the space say, they don't know what they're doing, they don't know what they're talking about. because they're trying to make change. And maybe they don't know what they're talking about. This has never been done before. Nobody knows what they're talking about. It's new. Hello. So let's just hope and pray that Anchor wins, because that doesn't mean that it's going to disrupt the whole space and everybody's going to stop running ads. That's not going to happen. Okay? It just means that it gives people other alternatives. Look at Patreon. Take Patreon, for example. Now, everybody is trying to steal Patreon's business model. Look at Snapchat. They introduced stories, and Facebook literally stole stories. They even admitted that they couldn't buy Snapchat, so they stole stories from Snapchat. Okay? So let's all hope that Anchor can come up with some other monetization schedule that change can be good, but most people fear it. Yes, they are afraid. And hey, guess what? Quick story. I'm glad you said that because that reminded me. Even Miss Ileane is afraid. Yes, we all have fears, right? I intentionally stepped out of my comfort zone. First of all, you guys know I like to go to bed early. That's why I have the morning talk show with Miss Ileane, because I always get up at way before the crack of dawn. I'm usually up at 3 or 4 a.m. And my comfort zone is underneath my covers here by like 7 p.m., right? So for me to go out, hang out with some podcasters. We went to a studio in a section of the city that I never go in. But I went because I wanted to go out of my comfort zone. And I'm telling you guys this. I didn't even tell anybody who I went with. I didn't even tell my daughter this. You guys are getting it from me. We went to Sounds Like Soma Studio in a section of the city that because I'm, like I said, I'm in my little comfort zone. I don't get out much. I don't travel around. I go from here to West Conchie and come home, and I'm happy if I stop at the gym. I had a good day. But sometimes you just got to go out your comfort zone, and I made some friends, and I was one of the few women that went to this, because this was all podcast engineers, hosted by my friend Chris Curran from the Podcast Engineering School. I wanted to stomp with the big dogs, okay? And I did it. So this is why I want Anchor to win, because they're stepping out and they're asking podcasters to step out of their comfort zone. And let's just hope that it sparks this community and makes some kind of change, because that's what it's all about, right? We're not just podcasting just to hear ourselves talk. Like for me, I'm not just creating content just to hear myself talk, even though obviously I do like hearing myself talk, right? No, I want to see you guys succeed, right? I'm giving away free content. I have hundreds of videos here on YouTube, hundreds of podcasts. I've been doing daily live streams because I want to see you succeed. Okay, I enjoy this, and I hope that you guys also enjoy my content as well. Okay? And it's okay for us to agree to disagree. Like Beauty says, she thinks that Watch Party has huge potential. It may have potential, but I don't think it's going anywhere. I can be wrong, and that's fine. I've been wrong before, and I'm sure I'll be wrong again. Okay. And Beauties is saying, and guys, podcasting is so fun. Yes, it is. And I hate that sometimes people take the fun out of podcasting, because they're always like, grow your show, make it bigger, be the expert in your field. Sometimes it's not even about being an expert. It's just about expressing yourself. It's a form of self-expression and personal development, because you could sit down and have that conversation with the mic. Here's my mic, ATR 2100, by the way. and you can work out some stuff. Okay? You can work out some stuff. You might be in the room by yourself. Okay, so great story. We need to step out of our comfort zone to experience life in general. Yes. Thank you so much, Yankees. And see, you're an adventurer, so I know you feel what I'm talking about. I'm not an adventurer. I usually, like I said, I like to stay in my cocoon. But we got to break out and be that butterfly and bust out of our shell. You never know, we might sprout some wings. All right, so I want podcasting to sprout some wings, and hopefully Anchor is going to be one of the first to lead the charge. And I am rooting for them, and I don't care who doesn't like it. It's a good thing about podcasting. Makes you feel empowered. You don't have to sit there and listen to all the big wigs, right? You can have your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own opinions, and you can voice them. As long as you do it respectfully. Okay. All right, so we're going to ignore the Nightbot. No, we're not going to ignore the Nightbot. In fact, we have some more things here that we want to have posted here. I'm using my Elgato Stream Deck, although rather awkwardly, I will admit. Whew. I'm coming in for a landing, y'all. I'm coming in for a landing. Okay, so if anybody wants to see that Elgato Stream Deck, go to my video from last weekend. All right, so I got to get into this YouTube thing. YouTube. I love you, YouTube, but dear YouTube, I'm gonna have a mini semi rant. About a week and a half ago, you guys came out with a video and you said that we creators are placing too much attention, and we think that tags on YouTube are way more important than what they actually are. Okay, that was like an eye-opener for a lot of people, because a lot of people use tags, and, we got all these different tools that we can go into. Let's see what Yankee said here. You're awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for all you do. Oh, thank you, Yankees. Okay, so YouTube. All right, so everybody's got in line. Everybody's like, all right, I'm not going to worry about tags. I'm only going to put 2-3 tags. I might not even use tags no more. What the heck? They're not even that important. And then within that very same week, they had a blog post to tell us about using hashtags. What? Well, wait. YouTube, what's the difference between tags and hashtags? If a tag is not important, just because we put that little pound sign in front of it, that makes it important. So what y'all trying to say? I'm confused. And if they're not that important, why are we getting a new feature relevant to hashtags? Here we go, guys. I just, bear with me, because I'm a little frustrated. I don't know if you are as well, but I find that to be confusing. But here's YouTube's support document about hashtags. I'll put that link over here in the chat for you, in case you want to follow along. I'm not going to go into it word for word, but use hashtags for video search. Use hashtags to find videos. Well, what was wrong with just using tags to find videos? What do we need a hashtag for? What? Is it just me? What? Does anybody else care about this? I don't see y'all saying anything. Add hashtags to your videos. All right, this is important. So let's go into this. Hashtags in the title and description will be hyperlinked. Beauty Bubble said, yeah, Ileane, where are your hashtags? My hashtags are in the description of this video. I didn't put them in the title because I know the conversation may change. And so rather than put them in there ahead of time, in this particular video, let me just show you. Let me come back on cam so you don't see this funky transition between one thing to the next. Oh, yeah, sometimes I think when, and I need to talk to my friends at EcammLive about this. I think I'm having a little problem getting my video description. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Beauty, because I'm just going to see on the fly if I can update this description on this video. Let me see. I have it already copied and pasted into a thingy. Nope. Info and settings. Yep, it does. It does let me do it. Hopefully it doesn't in the video. Okay, we shall see. All right, hang on. Let me go back and see if those updates took. All right, it says live now. And no, it didn't take my video. I mean, my update that I made. But that's okay. I will read it to you, the description of this video, okay? All right, digital media news covering hashtag podcasting, hashtag live streaming, hashtag YouTube, including, those are my hashtags, podcasting, live streaming, and YouTube. And then it says, including Anchor FM, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Podcast Movement, and Google Podcasts. Okay? So when this video is over, I will update the, I'm not sure why it's not updating right now. And like I said, I have to talk to my friends at Ecamm, but I know I'm not complaining about nothing that goes on with EcammLive because it's in beta. This is the software that I use, and I absolutely love it. And it's letting me do things like this. See how I just put that little comment there? And let's see what Patricia said. I like to use tags with my YouTube videos because that means that after the video is over, a bunch of my shows will show up for suggested videos on screen. That's what we've all been told, and that's what we think. And this is what reason why I've always recommended TubeBuddy and also tools like Morning Fame who help you with finding your tags. Even vidIQ can do that a little. But the head of YouTube search, and I forget the guy's name, so sorry for that, said that tags are not as important as we think they are. Didn't say they weren't important at all. He said they're not as important as we think they are. And then days later, they came out with all the stuff about hashtags. And they're showing hashtags underneath the video. Like, why? Why can't you just show my tags underneath the video? They started hiding the tags 3-4 years ago because they said people were, trying to beat the system. I don't want to use the word scam. I don't think the word was scam, but Beauty said, I have been using them early on in the title and recently just in the description. There are some branding opportunities we think with using the hashtags. And I'm not complaining about them with hashtag. All I'm saying is, why say tags are not important and then make hashtags important? To me, that's kind of dumb. Maybe somebody else doesn't agree with me because, hey, these people that run YouTube are really smart, but everything starts to blend together. If we're using hashtags, then people are going to start using the same hashtags they use on Instagram, because Instagram and Twitter are the two hashtag platforms. And now, this is not the first time YouTube started talking about hashtags. This is not the first time. In fact, I believe this is the third time they started to implementation of focusing on hashtags, and the previous two didn't do so well. So I'm rooting for YouTube as well, even though they are they are the big kahuna in the room, right? I love YouTube. I've been using this since 2009, so I ain't mad at them. All I'm saying is, you're confusing me. Why do I have to use a pound sign in front of my words? Both the audio and video are good today. Oh, thank you, Patricia. Yes, that was just a demonstration of what can be done with the Elgato Stream Deck. It put that little thing there. And then here's another one from the Elgato Stream Deck right over to you guys. And I don't know if I pushed that button hard enough that time. What would you like your followers/listeners/viewers using a hashtag that helps your content? I don't know. I don't know what will help my content. If you mean here on YouTube, this is my first video that I've done since they made this announcement. So we'll see if any of these videos any of these hashtags that I have, podcasting, live streaming, and YouTube, are helpful. To me, I think the YouTube hashtag is not going to be helpful. But I put that in there. And I started to use the podcast movement hashtag, and I may go in there and change it to PM18, which is the podcast movement hashtag, since I did talk about podcast movement. And I don't know if Beauty and Pat were here when I stepped on the stage at Podcast Movement, but here you go. This is when I took the stage. Of course, I didn't speak on the stage. I just took the stage. Because I had the opportunity to walk up on the stage, and I was like, let me get up here and take some selfies real quick. Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. So I think there's been some other updates with YouTube. And if anybody has any information about any other updates with YouTube that you want to discuss, go ahead and type that into the comments. And what I will do here at this point is I'm just going to say this has been the digital media news. And I would love if you would subscribe and also connect with me on all the different social medias. For example, I keep talking about Instagram because Instagram is one of my favorites. And I've also done lots of tutorials here on YouTube. And I'm just going to put up this end screen really quickly. I'm not going to end the video, though, for those of you who are here live. So go ahead and connect with me and watch some of my previous videos and subscribe to me here on YouTube if you're not already subscribed.